Hello, it's Greg Allison from Green Greg's coming to you from my worm farm on 14 November 21. Time on deck is 1000 hour Central Daylight Time, Standard Time, excuse me. So I got to get used to the time change. So a lot of people keep asking me, Greg, when are you going to be selling worms again? When are you going to be selling worms? Well, it's got to be when I get all my worm beds full. And unfortunately, we are in the process of rebuilding worm beds and finishing them. And I've had the outside of these done for some time. The guy that built them didn't do it right. And they weren't going to be mold proof. That is my issue. So we've been reworking these worm beds. They got to all be filled. And I got to build some more sled beds. And we got to get the worms bred and full up in all these beds. Now you can see this one. Originally when I built these, I had gravel in the bottom. And I put this ground cloth in there to separate the gravel from the compost. Well, we're going back now and adding wire on top of this, more gravel, and another layer of this black stuff. Now what happened, the guy that built these for me, he didn't put this wood, like I told him, up against this tin, this steel actually, this stainless steel. And so it could be loose, which means you could get cracks out here, and a mold might work its way in. Now, I got to have all this tight, really tight, because this has got to be a fortress to keep molds out. That's been my issue. I may even come back and put a little concrete around the edges in these. But we're trying to rebuild them to make them mold proof. These are little tin can fortresses. Now you got to have the bottom where it'll drain through. You can't just pour concrete through the bottom. You got to let it drain through the water and stuff, or you'll have a pond in here. This will be a swimming pool, a fish bowl, and worms don't like it. So the stuff's got to drain out the bottom. But worms don't like. Molds don't like digging up through gravel because it knocks them in the noggin. So that's why the gravel helps. Having mesh wire helps. And then in the end, the extra layer of this black ground cloth can be used to hang on. Sorry about that. Phone's ringing. Try to get that individual a little bit ago. This black cloth here, you see we got some gravel down here. That's on top of wire. There's wire in here, and this black cloth is added again. Another layer. And then these are still really deep. We're going to be able to put a lot of stuff in here, a lot of compost. And there's a roll that we're using from this, and I use that on top of my sled beds too. You'll see my sled bed video. These lids are heavy because these are 10 foot long. My others, these beds are 20 footers. My other original 2 in-ground beds were 24 footers, so they got 3 8-foot lids. It's a little bit easier to handle than these big ones here. Makes it a little bit challenging for the ladies when I have ladies working for me out here. So when I get all these beds full, and when I get my other sled, now the beds that's got worms in them, I've got a lot of worms. I do have worms, but I don't have enough. Because guys, this will enable me, when I get all these beds full, to sell about 70 pounds of worms a week in a period of 3 months. And if I oversell that, you know, I think it's 840 pounds I can sell once I get everything built up and at full capacity. I can probably sell about 840. If I can get them doubling every month, every 2 months instead of every 3 months, I could probably sell 100 pounds a week, maybe 1,200 pounds per season. So it's going to be 800 to 1,200 pounds per season is what I'm looking at being able to produce. All these sled beds here have worms in them when they're covered. All the covered ones. The ones that aren't covered, we got to put worms in them. We got to make some little roofing pieces for them. But we're trying to get all this stuff fixed up. And it takes a lot of time and effort, and we just have a lot to do around here. But that's what we're working on. When we get this all done, redone, then I'll be able to sell worms. Now here's the thing. Once I sell 840 pounds or half the worms I got, once I sell half, if they're only reproducing every 3 months, it'll be 840. If I get them where they're reproducing every 2 months, doubling population, I could sell maybe 1,200 pounds of worms. So I just got to play it by ear and see how this all plays out. But 2 years ago, I was selling 140 pounds a week. So what I'd have to do is shut down once I sell to my capacity. I can't go below half capacity because I need to be able to regrow my worms. So with this level will enable me to sell 840 to 1,200 pounds per season, just depending. So I'll have to pay close attention to it. So that's how it's going to work here. Maybe I can get some more property somewhere else and expand it. When I go out to Arizona, I got 40 acres. I can expand it infinitely out there. It just takes time. It'll take time to get the worms spread up, that's all. But we're going to have a huge worm farm. And I can ship locally to the West Coast then, so that'll be a great advantage. But these beds here don't have any worms in them. I got to build covers for them, like these. Those beds are full of worms. One of my in-ground beds here has got to be redone. Somehow mold's got in it. So we're digging the compost out of it, and we're going to try to find where the breach was and fix it. So these are my two original in-ground beds right here. Y'all might remember. What I did when I started this worm farm out, I was in a hurry. I had a guy wanting to buy a lot of worm compost, and he was buying a lot from me. $1,900 worth a week in worm compost. I had to have a lot of worm beds fast, and I built worm beds out of plywood in order to do it quick. And I paid dearly for that because plywood didn't last very long. The moles found a way through it and ate up all of my worms. All of them, like in 2 weeks. Don't take them anytime. Once they get in your beds. Oh, and down here in the woods, you're not going to find a single mole trail. Not a single mole trail will you find. Because they have two kinds of tunnels. They have the surface tunnels to get worms, and they have lower level tunnels. Well, out in the woods, they run the lower level tunnels. You don't find them out here. They go low level, find your worm bed, and go up and go in. So it's, I've never seen a mole trail out here, except in my worm beds. And they would be full of wormholes, mole holes. And they would clean the moles out. They'll wipe them out in 2 weeks flat. You can wipe out thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars of worms faster than you blink your eye. It's amazing how destructive they can be and how fast they can be destructive. So moles are my biggest enemy here. So I'm working to control moles. The above ground beds are pretty good unless they find a path to climb up and a hole to get into along the bottoms. Those have been my most reliable beds really in the past. I've been working on a video that's got so many segments and it's taken me forever to edit it. But I started working on the video in April. I just don't have any time, guys. Time is my killer. But I'll show you all videos about rebuilding some of these beds. I got to rebuild a couple more over here I can see now when I'm starting to collapse on me. But I got 4 new worm beds over here. Unfortunately, that plywood set for a long time before we started them. It's kind of warped. And this one has got to be totally redone. It's a mess. It's falling apart. So there you go, my friends. That's the story. And I am building a mushroom house. To show you that real fast. Got a lot going on here at Green Greg's. A lot going on, working on my aquaponics greenhouse. Working in here. Have to walk around. Show you my show you this thing. What's the construction project here? Oh yeah, my old refrigerator is going to be a worm bed. I'll show you how to do that. This is my future shroom house. I'm planning to duplicate all this stuff in Arizona. Although I might do this nice little shipping containers in Arizona. There we are, guys. The shroom house. It started. I've got a video showing how to square up the post on it now to get it started. I haven't played that yet, but that is it. Be sure to check out my links at True Leaf Market because you need to buy seeds where you can plant heirloom seeds and get the same kind of plant back that you planted. A lot of seeds don't do that for you. Check out my link below to True Leaf Market. Check out my Patriot Supply through my prepwithgreg.com. If you go to prepwithgreg.com, not the main man stuff, if you go to prepwithgreg.com, you get $100 off of a 3-month supply of food. And you can also get into my Patriot Supply website, and if you go to it that way, it helps me. I get a little kickback from it. So it helps me if you go to my Patriot Supply through my link at prepwithgreg.com. All right, guys, check that out. And be sure to subscribe, bang the notification bell, and click on. I may have already said that, but sometimes you forget those things. Anyway, thank y'all for watching. Goodbye.